Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Elliot and welcome to This and That Reviews, and this is Sinner. This is a movie that I haven't been anticipating ever since the reviews started to come out for it. I don't think I cared about it when I just saw the trailers, when I just heard that it was going to be a vampire movie set in the South, like a black-oriented like vampire movie. And I don't think I was that interested in it. It just sounded generic. And in that idea, in just that blurb of, it's a vampire movie in the South. And then when the reviews came out and they were so overwhelmingly positive, I think it's at a 99% on Rotten Tomatoes, that's when I got really excited about it. I will get this out of the way first as pretty much my only negative on this movie. And even in saying that it's a negative, it's not a negative. It's a very long movie. It's a 2.5-hour movie, and at a certain point, it's just going to feel like, wow, this is a really long movie. And I have said that in some of my favorite movies, like Oppenheimer is like a 3-hour movie. And at some point, you're just gonna be like, wow, this is a really long movie. Endgame is a great movie. It's an amazing movie. And I will compare this to Endgame in a different way as well. But Endgame is like a 3-hour movie. And at some point, you're just gonna say, wow, this is a really long movie. It just keeps going. And that's my only negative. Everything else about it, it's very, very good. I think one of my reasons for wanting to say to go out and watch this in theaters right now is that it feels like a theatrical movie. It feels like a fully developed, realized world. And I say that, and then it's really weird to say a fully realized world when it all happens in literally one day. It's over the course of one big giant day. It's like a 2.5-hour movie, and it takes place over the course of one day, and the majority of it obviously takes place during one night of one day. But the way that I wanted to compare it to Endgame as well, just to temper your expectations, Endgame, Marvel's Endgame, Endgame is not about the final fight. It is not about, everything after, Avengers Assemble, right? There's the big fight. That's kind of what you're waiting for the whole movie. But when you really look at that portion of the movie, it's not that big of a moment. If anything, the fight with Thanos prior to that moment is a much bigger fight, right? And everything after that, there's stuff that happens, but it happens so rapid and quick that you probably don't even remember most of that. Just like that fight, and that is the fight that is in this movie. It's kind of like that, but everything that's good about this movie, in the same way that everything that's good about Endgame, it's all of the character building that happens prior to that moment. The moment like Tony being able to talk to his dad. That is the heart of Endgame. And that is the heart of this movie. It's everything that comes before that, before the big fight. And if you're just going in for the big fight, it's not that big of a fight. And you're probably going to be, that's probably going to be one of your negatives. So I want you to temper your expectations for that. I've heard this movie being compared to From Dusk Till Dawn, and I could understand why. Like the beginning portion of this movie is a setup, and then they get to a location that very much looks like the From Dusk Till Dawn location, and it's a movie about vampires, and then, it's that. And I would compare the way that From Dusk Till Dawn plays out. The beginning portion of the movie is different adventuring aspects of trying to get to the titty twister. I would compare the beginning of this movie to being like an Ocean's 11, Ocean's 12, Ocean's 13, like a team-up movie, like a we need to get the band back together, because that's essentially what's happening. Michael B. Jordan and Michael B. Jordan are recruiting people because they want to build, they bought this barn, and they want to have this really fun night, but they need to populate it with people. They need singers and dancers and people that can run the bar, and they need assistants. They need to, they need to recruit and give people jobs to, man this thing. And so in that, they are going to each of these people and you know, like explaining their backstory, and they're being like, wow, you know, like we haven't seen you in a while. And then you get to learn in a very great narrative way who they are. And I think there's an easy assumption that like there's a good twin and an evil twin, because I think that that's how most of these movies would play out. Like there's two twins and one's good and one's evil. And I was trying to do that the whole movie, and that's not really what this movie is. There's not like a good twin. I mean, like you could say that there's a good twin and an evil twin, but that's not really what this movie is. They're both just twins, and they both just are people. That's not what this is. It's not like a good twin, evil twin thing. If anything, both of them are good and both of them are evil in the same way that people are. So it's not this like dichotomous thing. And then another thing that I wanted to compare this to is another movie that I really love. I, as an Asian person, I'm going to go back to Marvel because I go back to Marvel a lot. I really love Shang-Chi. And Shang-Chi, I understand all of the nuance in that, being an Asian person, that it's all about family and it's about honor and it's about like respecting your elders. And that is something that is instilled in me as an Asian person. And I feel like Shang-Chi is such a good movie that even if you aren't Asian, you still probably, you know, you get the movie and you understand it because it's conveyed in a, you know, traditional sense. Like you get what's important. And as opposed to like if you were to watch a strictly like, you know, Asian movie from like Chinese cinema, right? Like then there's too much nuance and there's too much like going on, but it's like a perfectly like, it's like, hey, come into this world and we'll teach you how this world works. Maybe you won't get everything, but you'll get most of it, right? Going into this movie as a not African American person, as a not black person, I wasn't sure how much of this movie that I was going to get. I felt the same way when I watched Coco. To compare this to another movie, I felt the same way because I'm not Hispanic, and I didn't know if I was going to get this movie. And if it's a good movie, the movie will hold your hand, and you'll get it. And you'll get, you know, the importance of this movie, and you'll understand like the core being and the core essence of this movie. And in the same way, like, you know, this movie, if I wanted to compare it to Shang-Chi, Shang-Chi is a very normal movie for the most part. And then it just kind of goes wacky. It goes like insane, and there's a giant dragon, and there's, you know, Morris, and, you know, there's a forest, right? There's a forest, this ever-changing forest, and an entirely different world, and, you know, and the dragon, and, you know, a different dimension. That's how this movie feels. For like a good portion of this movie, I almost want to say like an hour of this movie, it's a regular movie. It's just a regular movie about two brothers going back to their town, and it's a, you know, like, it's what is the culture? What is black culture? What is, you know, like, what does it mean to be in the South at that time? The language, the kind of talking that they do, you know, just like the nuances of that, right? And most of the movie is just that, and then the vampires show up. And it kind of transforms into it. Now it's a vampire movie. But what's great about this movie is that it's not solely about the vampires. And I think a tagline for this movie could have been, some things are timeless. And I feel like that is the message of this movie. That some things are timeless. And I don't want to spoil this movie, but I would encourage you to like go into this movie and keep that in mind. That some things are timeless. Some things are without time. Some things last forever. And it's great. It's a great movie. I really loved it. I think that it feels, to go back to a previous point that I didn't expand on, and I'm just realizing right now, because I didn't talk about Moana 2. It feels like a movie. And what I mean by that is when I went to go see Moana 2, it felt like the next episode of a Moana series that I was watching. Like I watched Moana 1 and, episode 2 of Moana is Moana 2, right? It feels like an episode of Moana as opposed to a full movie with Moana, based on Moana, right? This feels like a fully realized movie. I'm watching Black Mirror right now, and an episode like Playthings feels like an episode of Black Mirror, whereas USS Callister Into Infinity feels like a fully fledged, thought out movie. There is a difference in how this feels, and I feel like you should watch this in theaters because it feels like a movie. You care so much about this movie. The way that it is, the way that it lives or dies is whether or not you care about all of the characters. When you watch a teenager horror movie, right? Like Tarot on Netflix right now, you don't care about any of the characters. You're spending time with the characters and you don't care about any of them because they're all very generic. And all you care about is when are they going to die? What's the cool death scene that they're going to die? You care about every single character in this movie. This movie, like every character is just so charismatic and they are so likable and they have so much charisma in their own separate different kinds of ways. Like the charisma of a Michael B. Jordan is different than the charisma of a Haley Steinfeld. The charisma of, this is something else I wanted to make fun of. Preacher Boy, who he's referred to as Preacher Boy in this movie. That dude has like the deepest voice. I thought he was, because the movie is all about music. And so they use music in a lot of different ways. Like the soundtrack is amazing, but they also sing within the movie. I thought this kid was gonna break out. I was like, is this the Chocolate Rain guy? I thought he was gonna bust out Chocolate Rain. Like this dude has the deepest voice. I did not, like every single time this, like any word came out of this kid's mouth, I was like, God, this guy's voice is deep. As another spoiler without context, there's a moment where I just had to be like, I didn't scream it in theaters. This isn't Minecraft. But like to myself, I was just like, Leroy Jenkins. You'll know exactly what I mean. And to talk about another moment in this movie, there's a moment that a couple of my reviewers were talking about was a ridiculous moment. Like on paper, if somebody told you about this moment, you would be like, that's ridiculous and there's no way they're gonna make it work. And they make it work. Like within the context of the story and what is happening and what is being told, they make a ridiculous moment work. And that ridiculous moment is one of the first songs when they get to the barn. They're doing like a bunch of different songs. You'll know what I'm talking about exactly when it happens. You're like, wow, this is kind of weird, but it works. This really works. It's a great movie. Like all of the acting is amazing. The characters are amazing. It's not about vampire violence, even though there is vampire violence. Do not go into this movie for vampire violence. If you're looking for vampire violence, I trust watch Blade, watch From Dusk Till Dawn. This is a character-driven movie where you care about the characters and you care about the idea that some things are timeless.